Today I want to talk about the game design legacy and traditions. And for this, the record of Lodoss War Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth fits the best. This project is remarkable for three heritage aspects. First is obviously an adaptation of a classic gameplay formula of a wonderful Castlevania series, especially the references to popular Symphony of the Night, whence the basic ideas and mechanics were borrowed. Second is the narrative and lore of the record of Lodoss War franchise, with the patronage of a talented writer Ryuya Mizuno. And third is the original game mechanics that the devs invented and enhanced through their previous projects. We have a lot to discuss, so without further ado, we will start this nostalgic journey. For the beginning, let's take a look at new game mechanics. Our character can switch the spirit guard between fire and wind elements. This feature, along with the different enemy resistances, makes the gameplay truly exciting. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Game levels filled with the various hazards, which should be crossed by activating the corresponding element. And finally, these are amazing boss fights with a huge number of mechanics related to the interaction between these elements. This concept is inherent to the Ladybug Studio, and they have polished these mechanics to perfection on their previous projects. It is a great example of the legacy or distinctive feature that developers can carry through many projects. Another fascinating mechanic is the arrow shooting based puzzles. Such provide magnets interaction and ricochet trajectories calculation. These encounters require the player's ingenuity, reaction and skill. Diligently placed and originally designed, they provide exciting puzzle-solving experience, allows player to switch a bit from a combat scenes. Next, the system of spells that is also notable for its diversity. Each enemy and especially the bosses got weaknesses to some particular spells, so you can dramatically ease your way through these events. And the bosses here are designed much more thoroughly than you would expect from such project. Their moveset, combat mechanics and epic visuals provide brilliant experience. Also, they are much more challenging in comparison to Symphony of the Night, so these events are simply amazing. In other aspects, with the exception of small details, this project gently borrows best gameplay mechanics and combat system from the Castlevania series of late 90s, but sadly not the level design approach. Here the global map architecture is generic and featureless, and the lack of open areas causes the effect of claustrophobia sometimes. Nothing that would significantly spoil the overall impression, but still. As for the narrative distribution, it deserves a detailed discussion. To be honest, until this project I knew almost nothing about the record of Lodoss War universe. Up to date, many books have been written by Ryuya Mizuno, a dozen video games have been released, an anime and manga series was published. A whole mysterious amazing world, the portal to which this project provides. And here the commitment to lore and traditions of this world allows authors from various media create a lot of new artworks, expanding and enriching it. Any fiction can be easily destroyed by incoherence of the narrative inconsistencies, which is why it is extremely difficult to work on such projects, but the reward is worth it. Devoting yourself to development of an original world, you can come up with not just a new game series, but to an independent artistic embodiment with a huge fanbase and support. And perhaps it can be even comparable to a widely known media IPs. Now let's step aside and briefly recall what we all like so much about the classic Castlevania series. Exciting and fast action gameplay, a variety of enemies and locations, challenging bosses, storyline choices, and new abilities unlocking that help us to explore this world for hidden treasures. In many ways, all these elements define the essence of popular Metroidvania genre, and Symphony of the Night is still rightfully considered one of the best representatives. It was the project that, in addition to all these features, introduced us to a complex weapon system, control combination-based spellcasting, rare item drops, hidden rooms and passages. All this added depth to the gameplay and aroused the desire of players to explore this world thoroughly. Besides that, I'd like to admire the courage of Symphony's dev team for implementing different playthrough paths and endings. Most players completing the original game for the first time barely saw half of the game. It was a really bold decision that brought new approach to the genre. But if we take a broader view, we will notice that Konami very rarely made drastic changes to the series. Most of the classic projects brought the recipe of the first two original games. The next milestone was Symphony of the Night, where gameplay variety, exploring and narration techniques were enhanced. And after, we got bunch of God of War-like 3D slashers, which in many ways ruined the glorious name of the Castlevania series. So the topic I want to discuss, why such innovations comes rarely. First is the market trends. In modern industry, some developers and the vast majority of publishers try to adhere to well-known formula, releasing the same projects over and over again. This is an economically justified process, because the risks, which are very high in game development, are reduced many times with this approach. Yes, even when the ambitious design ideas that can move whole industry forward are not implemented. Main goal is to ensure a certain level of profitability, so the players are already accustomed with this. This is why instead of new IPs, we have to play the next Assassin's Creed or Far Cry. No offense, these are the great series, but stuck in a self-copying. But in case of Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth, there are other reasons more inherent to Japanese culture and mentality. Traditions and heritage have fundamental value here. Take for example the art of anime production. To master it, you will need to dive deep into the canons and establish techniques. So with the game development. A distinctive approach of many Japanese games is an attentive attitude to the heritage. And it's not bad at all. This specific creative vision sets the unique development process with its own approach. And not only developers stick to these traditions. Loyal fans are looking forward to release of these projects. Most of them are willing to repeat the game experience of the previous games. And this is okay. But still, not all of them will be able to play the exact same game over and over again. Yes, Blizzard, I mean it. Obviously, the gaming heritage needs to be respected. As a developer, in addition to your projects, you need to show dedication to your audience as well. Listen and hear what the players talking about your game, how they imagine its further progress, what they are missing. This is all crucial, because your game fantasy becomes public domain the day when you release it. It is not your world anymore, it is your players' world. They live and die there, they struggle and rejoice. They are completely immersed in this world, so who else can you trust? Thus, Record of Lodoss War Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth is a great example of how you should treat the legacy of the great game series. Developers from Team Ladybug did an awesome job, and I hope that their experience and our discussion will help us all to make exciting projects in the future. Thank you guys, this nostalgic journey was a great and I hope you enjoyed it also. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, you know what to do. I'll see you soon. Bye.